Imagine it's Monday morning. You should be busy attending meetings or answering emails. Instead, you're sleeping past the alarm, snoozing it, contemplating what to eat, and doing nothing all day. If it sounds like the dream job, well, Google has made it a reality. Reports suggest that Google is paying AI employees to do nothing for a year, absolutely nothing. But there's a twist too. They can do nothing, but they cannot join other AI rivals. And Google is not the only one doing this. AI is becoming a bigger part of our lives, so companies are going out of their way to poach and retain AI talent. Our next report has more.
Imagine this. You work as an AI researcher. You wake up at 10:30 a.m. You pour yourself a latte. You flip open a laptop to find nothing. No Zoom invites, no Slack ping, no code to review, and, importantly, no expectation to actually produce anything. For the next 365 days, your job is to sit still, be quiet, and above all, not defect to OpenAI. This isn't a vacation. It's a corporate hostage situation with full benefits. Welcome to Silicon Valley's escalating AI arms race, where doing absolutely nothing can be a full-time job. According to reports, Google is literally paying some of its top AI minds to take a year off, provided they don't go work for the enemy. It's called a non-compete agreement, but in practice, it looks a lot like the world's most lucrative timeout. Artificial intelligence is at the red-hot center of a trillion-dollar tech future. Every day, there are new products, new innovations. Yet, the people producing them are a handful. Everybody's chasing the same narrow pool of elite researchers. And when supply is low and demand is frothing at the mouth, the market gets weird, which is why companies guard their talent fiercely. Of course, Google isn't alone in this poaching war. Take Meta, for example. Reports suggest CEO Mark Zuckerberg is dabbling in the lost art of letter writing. He has reached out to AI researchers in Google. In fact, he has written them personal emails the Meta CEO even offered them jobs without interviews. Then, there is Google co-founder Sergey Brin. He apparently had to call an employee who was leaving Google for OpenAI. Brin had to personally convince to stay, including promises of more perks. And it is truly getting crazy out there. Candidates are being offered eye-watering salaries. Those are being matched with salary hikes. Then, there are other perks like stocks and free travel. Everything is on the table. When it comes to poaching talent, take Huawei, for example. It is turning heads and emptying wallets by offering triple the salaries of TSMC. And it is not just Huawei. Chinese AI companies are offering a lot of money to Western AI researchers. So where does this all end? With more money, more non-disclosure agreements, more secrecy, and probably more burnouts. The AI boom feels unstoppable. But there's a human cost buried beneath the GPU clusters. Talented minds are being traded like assets, with little time to breathe, explore, or remember why they got into this in the first place. For now, the war for AI talent is real, and it's only getting weirder. If you're lucky enough to be in that top 1% of AI minds, congratulations. Someone out there is probably willing to pay you a fortune to just stop showing up. So, take the money, sit on the beach, and just don't answer that email from Zuck.
We look now at how the crackdown on asylum seekers and immigrants under the Trump administration is targeting labor activists, including the beloved immigrant farm worker organizer Alfredo Juarez, also known as Lalo. Supporters say he was kidnapped when agents with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, stopped him on a rural road as he drove his girlfriend to her job on a tulip bulb farm early in the morning of March 25th. When he asked for a warrant, the agents reportedly broke his car window and handcuffed him. Lalo is now jailed at the privately run Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, where hundreds have rallied to call for his release. He picks strawberries for a living. Democracy Now! Spoke to Lalo in 2016 when he was a 16-year-old farm worker in Burlington, Washington.
One of the challenges that comes in during summer was that sometimes I have to like leave school early. I don't get to finish school. Well, I remember that one day, I think it was a Sunday, that when we were picking strawberry, it was rainy, and then it was like super cold, like the wind and stuff like that, and I was kind of feeling a little sick. It was like around 12, and I wanted to go home, so I asked my mom, and then she said if I like not feeling well, we should go home. And then my mom told the supervisor, but that supervisor said, like, if you guys don't get back to work, you guys will get fired, and then you have to find some place to live, like just like right away, like at the same day you get fired, and then you have to find a place to stay.
So that was Alfredo Lelo Juarez in Democracy Now! In 2016, when he was 16 years old. In 2013, he helped found Familias Unidas por la Justicia, an independent farm workers union in Washington state, with his friend Edgar Franks, who's joining us in a minute. Edgar recorded this more recent video of Lelo in a strawberry field.
Just try your best. This is how they want it. Yeah, so usually you have your bucket, you throw it in, you grab another one, another little plant. Like right here, you grab this one, finish it, grab another one, and that's how you go.
Nice.
Today, Lelo has a hearing in his case. For more, we're joined by Edgar Franks, the political director of Families United for Justice, Familias Unidas por la Justicia. Welcome to Democracy Now! You've known Lelo for at least a decade, since he was, 14 years old. Edgar, tell us what happened last week.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having us here. Yeah, I've seen Lelo grow up, and it was really shocking to hear the details about what happened to him. It was around 7:30 in the morning, and he was doing what he usually does during this time of year, driving his partner to go work. Right now, the work that's available is at working in tulip fields. So he was driving, and no less than a couple miles from his home, he was pulled over, unmarked car, and he saw a gentleman approaching his vehicle. He cracked the window of his car a couple of inches, and when the people showed up to near his window, he asked, "Why am I getting pulled over? And do you have a warrant?" The people asked for his ID, and as soon as he was going to reach for his wallet to pull out his license, they broke his driver's side, passenger side window. He got out of the car. His partner was upset. So he didn't want to, get more fear into her. So he stepped out, and within a couple of, not even a minute of interaction of getting pulled over, he was already in handcuffs. So he was taken to Ferndale at a holding station with Border Patrol, Ferndale, Washington. And a couple of hours later, he was transferred to Tacoma and the Northwest Detention Center. So, he's been there ever since. So we're hopefully, can do something to get him out.
And talk about the significance of this hearing today. What's being demanded?
Yes, so ICE had a statement that they said that Alfredo had a deportation order since March 2018, which Lelo had never, got a letter or a call. He never had mentioned it to us ever. He's a pretty honest person. So if there was something like that, he would definitely have shown up to his court date. But today, his lawyers, his immigration lawyers, are going to go and present a motion to see if they can reopen his case and fight the deportation removal. I believe a couple of days ago, he was already in line to get on an airplane to be deported back to Mexico. And when he was in line, he was actually pulled out by agents and said that his lawyers already had filed or had seeked a hearing with the judge. And today's that day. This we don't know what time today, this Friday, but it's a very emotional, very tense day because determine whatever the judge says, it has a lot to do with his case, and he's committed to fight this case, and hopefully he gets freed.
And can you also talk about, he's not only Mexican, he's indigenous, he's Mixteco. The issue of having language and resource accessibility so that indigenous workers can organize, and do you believe this is one of the reasons he's being targeted right now?
We believe so. We believe that the reason of his detainment was because of how politically active he was in bettering the lives of not only of farm workers, immigrants, but especially the Mixteco community that he comes from. He's one of the few organizers in the state that speaks Mixteco, English, and Spanish. So, he can communicate with thousands of workers here. And, the proof is just in how successful the union has been. We passed overtime, got paid rest breaks, passed rules for heat and smoke rules. Alfredo had a lot to do because he's not only still working in farms when he's not organizing, he has direct contact and is always talking to workers about what are the needs in our community. So for whatever gains we've made in the last couple of years, Alfredo has been a crucial part, and especially because of how, since he's been a young man, has been connected to the Mixteco community, which is a huge part of our farm worker community.
And it's not the first time he's been arrested and detained. When he was 15 years old, Bellingham police racially profiled him, pulled him over, detained him, even though he had DACA.
He was pulled over, like any other teen, for driving without a license. A local police officer from the city of Bellingham questioned him and was asking for social security and where he really was from. And within minutes of him being pulled over on a traffic stop, he was sent to Tacoma when he was still a minor, when he was 15 years old. Luckily, some organizers were able to locate him and let the detention center know that they had a minor on their hands, and he was released. It was an incident of racial profiling.
I want to also ask you about the ICE agents raiding the Mount Baker Roofing Company in Bellingham, Washington State, early Wednesday, arresting at least 37 immigrant workers. This is a Facebook Live video that captured the raid, recorded by Giovanna Perez Juarez, whose nephew, Jose Manuel, was one of the detained workers.
The raid happened when they were about to start their shift. They're in unmarked cars. They're in vehicles that don't have an ICE logo or anything. They are being processed in the warehouse over there, and from the warehouse they are being escorted to the bus. They are loading more people up in the bus. It is so sad to witness this. Being here is sad. Watching how they take away hard-working people.
Can you comment on this raid as we wrap up?
Yeah, it's very, again, unfortunate. And
where were they taken?
What was that?
They were taken to the same detention facility where Lalo is right now?
Yes. These, I think right now what we're seeing is an attack on not only immigrants, but we think this is an attack also on workers. I think Donald Trump has used this whole narrative of workers versus immigrants, but I think in the long run, it's an attack on labor and unions especially. But we tried a couple of years ago actually help a group of workers organize in Mount Baker Roofing, I believe in 2022, and Alfredo was part of that. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the success that we wanted, but the Mount Baker roofing, almost a lot of industries in Washington state rely heavily on immigrant labor, farm work included. And we're seeing that this intensification of ICE and presence in our community is done, to send a chill towards everybody that's organizing for justice.
Edgar,
it's no coincidence.
We're going to continue. We're going to continue this interview in Spanish after the broadcast and post it on our Spanish website at democracynow.org. Edgar Franks, political director of Familias Unidas por la Justicia, independent farm workers union in Washington state that was co-founded by his longtime colleague, immigrant farm worker and organizer Lelo Alfredo Juarez, who ICE agents detained last week. He's currently jailed at the privately run Northwest Detention Center. A hearing in his case today. That hearing is in Tacoma, Edgar?
Yeah, it's in Tacoma.
And we'll tell people what happens over the weekend.
My partner and I had just gotten to the hospital from a call. Mike came in. He was working one of the other rigs. He said, "I'm going after sodas. Would anyone want one?" I said, "Sure." And I seen Mike walking down the hallways carrying the soda, and he stopped and darted and went into a bathroom. Pretty soon he came in and he set the sodas on the table, and he set mine down and it was open. And I looked at it, and I looked at him, and I said, "Would you go in the bathroom and pee in my soda?"
New on 12, a vendor working at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds accused of putting super glue in his coworker's soda is headed to trial. 12 News' Zoe Henry spoke with the man this morning, moments after he pleaded not guilty.
34-year-old Joseph Ross made that not guilty plea inside this court this morning, and he waived his right to a preliminary hearing.
You understand that by waiving this hearing, you're agreeing that the state can establish probable cause and you'll be ordered to stand trial?
Yes.
You understand that by waiving this hearing, you are not giving up your right to a trial?
Yes.
In March, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office charged Joseph Ross with placing foreign objects in edibles. A criminal complaint says a woman told State Fair Park police the drinks on her desk had a, quote, strong chemical smell and taste, and after she drank them, she would get sick. The woman told police she set up a camera on her desk and caught her coworker, Joseph Ross, putting something in her drink. According to the criminal complaint, police searched Ross's office and found super glue. This morning, Ross pleaded not guilty. 12 News asked him and his attorney about the plea and the woman's video. Excuse me, sir, you just plead not guilty. Is there a specific reason?
No comments for him.
You're saying you didn't do it?
You didn't plead guilty, you pleaded not guilty, and there's no comments.
The woman got you on camera, though. With Ross waiving his right to a preliminary hearing and pleading not guilty this morning, he is expected to go to trial, and his next court date is expected for May. In Milwaukee, Zoe Henry, WISN 12 News.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, "Get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!"
President Trump has set out to drastically reshape the federal workforce. And yesterday, he got some help in the effort from the U.S. Supreme Court.
In a brief, unsigned order, the court said the administration is free to move forward with the firing of 16,000 probationary federal employees. But the decision wasn't a total victory for the administration, since, for now at least, the court made no ruling on whether the firings themselves were actually legal.
NPR's Nina Totenberg has been following the case and joins us now to break it all down. Hi, Nina.
Hi, Layla.
Okay, so let's jump in here. This is only the latest case in which the Supreme Court has taken a so-called emergency action at the behest of the Trump administration. And lately, they're winning more than they're losing, right?
Yes. On Friday, the court allowed the Trump administration to cancel millions of dollars in education grants. Then 2 days ago, the court threw out a lower court action temporarily barring the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members, though there was a caveat that required all the deportees to have a hearing before a federal judge on their individual deportation orders. And yesterday, the court threw out a lower court order that barred the administration from firing 16,000 probationary employees, The court said that the plaintiffs in the case were not the employees themselves, but nonprofit groups who failed to show that they themselves would be hurt by the firings.
Okay, let's drill down on this latest one. What does probationary in this context mean?
It means the fired employee has to be on the job for a year or less, or in some cases more, time that includes people who are serving in a job that they were promoted to, for instance.
Okay, so the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to get rid of that lower court order, and it did. So what happens now? Do these fired employees have any recourse left?
Yes, but it's going to take time, and therein lies the rub. The employees have to first challenge their firings at the Merit Systems Protection Board, which is the federal agency charged with protecting civil servants. And for the most part, the most efficient way to do that is systematically with a class action that says essentially, we are representing all of these similarly situated fired employees, and we as a class should be reinstated. But in order to be certified as a class, they have to go before an administrative judge at the Merit Systems Protection Board. And so far, there have been more than 10,000 cases filed since October, including 20 class action suits. And I would presume that when the dust settles, there will be lots more class actions.
A lot of suits. Can the Merit System Protection Board actually act quickly?
The MSPB system is meant to be fast, with cases finalized in 120 days, and the judge's decisions become final in 35 days unless there's some intervening action by the Merit Systems Protection Board. Initially, any appeal would be taken by the MSPB board, but the agency didn't even have a quorum until 2 days ago, and the two board members there for the moment might well cancel each other's votes out. And in any event, the law allows a relatively quick appeal to the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, and in that setting, for sure, there will be thousands of employees who do have legal standing to sue and have been harmed.
NPR's Nina Totenberg. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
You keep it going, man. You keep those books rolling. You pick up all those books that you're going to read and not remember, and you roll, man. You get that associate's degree, okay? Then you get your bachelor's. Then you get your master's. Then you get your master's. Then you get your doctorate. You go, man. And then when everybody says quit, you show them those degrees, man. When everyone says, hey, you're not working, you're not making any money, you say, you look at my degrees and you look at my life. Yeah, I'm 52. So what? Hate all you want, but I'm smart. I'm so smart. And I'm in school. These guys out here making money all these ways, and I'm spending mine to be smart. You know why? Because when I die, buddy, you know what's going to keep me warm? That's right, those degrees.
You know, right now, more than half of working Americans don't have a 4-year college degree. But many of them have something else, skills they picked up through community college, military service, boot camps, quote unquote, certifications, apprenticeships, or just learning on the job. These workers are sometimes called STARs, skilled through alternative routes, STARs. And yet research shows these workers are often shut out of well-paying jobs, not because they can't do them, but because a degree is used as a shortcut to determine who's qualified. So now we'll continue a series of conversations that we've begun here on the Brian Lehrer Show, looking at economic mobility for STARs, how the job market treats them, how policy might better support them, and what real people navigating this space want to share. Joining us today, Audrey Mikael, Senior Vice President of Private Sector and Membership Experience at the nonprofit Opportunity at Work, which is pushing for fairer hiring practices that open doors for STARs, and Elias Siddiqui, a marketing operations specialist in Philadelphia, who entered the tech field without a college degree and built her career by tapping into alternative pathways to learning. Audrey, Elias, welcome to WNYC. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Brian.
So, Audrey, let's start with the basics. What is a STAR? I gave what the acronym is for, but in a little more detail, and how many people in the U.S. labor force would you say fall into that category?
Well, thanks for the question, Brian. There are 70 million STARs active in the labor market in the United States right now. And you set it up so well by saying that these are workers who are skilled through alternative routes. That's what STAR stands for. And it's folks who have been through the military or community college or who have had experience with training programs. But so many of the 70 million are folks who, like everyone, are learning skills, are building their skills by showing up every day and doing the work. And one more thing that I would mention is, particularly as folks get further into their career, one of the just very true realities is where you went to college or what you studied in college becomes a lot less relevant pretty quickly. So there's 70 million in the United States overall. There are almost 4 million stars in the New York City area. And I think in general, we're talking about half of the labor market. And it varies certainly by region, but it's a very significant and hard to ignore part of the workforce. And unfortunately, for too long, they simply have been ignored.
Aaliyah, you want to tell our listeners a little bit of your own story? Because if people's first response to this whole topic is, yeah, you can make a living without a college degree. People become plumbers, people become carpenters, things like that. But you found your way into tech without a 4-year degree. So take us back to the beginning of your story a little bit, would you?
Absolutely, Brian, and thank you for asking. So during the beginning of my journey, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. There was so many options out there, but I just wasn't quite sure what was the right fit. So I started a bit by taking some classes undeclared in college and just seeing if anything stuck out to me, anything that resonated with me. But I just felt that I couldn't quite find that fit. So afterwards, I took a break and decided to work at a warehouse for a bit, just to start building my resume and start that career journey there. And it was definitely a bit of a challenge working there. It was quite intensive, and the hours were pretty long, and it definitely wasn't the easiest time. I remember getting up in the morning before sunrise and then exiting the warehouse after sunset. So I never saw the sun. And since there were no windows, it was definitely pretty dark there. There definitely wasn't much you could see. And the focus was just on the work, on the job.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the hard work, everyone was really kind there and really supportive towards each other. And that really helped us all to push each other and be that support, despite how intensive and the long hours would be. So I just remember one day during my break, just sitting there and deciding, is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this where my career journey ends? And being so young, I just felt that I had so much life ahead of me. And I wanted to find something that would be that good fit, something that can jumpstart that career journey for me. And that's when it hit me, the Year Up program. And that was a program that my older sister had actually joined, and she was successful in. And with that program, it started the alternative route for me. And it provided the many resources to help young adults get into the corporate journey and start their career and find something that would be that fit and resonate with them. So when I started...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. So yes, when I started that program, it also was a bit of a challenge in itself, since that was completely virtual. And when my sister had joined it, it was in person, and she was going to the site and taking the classes with everyone there and face to face. So for me, it was completely virtual over the computer and taking classes that way. So definitely what helped a lot was to have study groups and meet with my peers to be able to get through the classes and the intensive work that we had to do. It was definitely a lot faster pace. And the great thing about the program was that it also offered college courses as well. So I was able to get some college experience while I was there, and at the same time have that training to be able to break through and get into the corporate realm and start my career journey. So from there, they also provide internships. And I had started my internship while I was within the program. And I did that for some time, for about 6 months. And it was a really amazing experience. And everyone there was so kind and helpful to help me and provide me the resources that I needed to be successful on the journey. And unfortunately, at the end, there was no headcount at the team. So I ended up being put into, or asked if I was interested in joining an apprenticeship. And at that time, I actually wasn't sure what an apprenticeship was. So it was definitely new to me, but I was open to trying it. And I wanted to see if this would be a good fit for me. This would be something that I would be interested in for the rest of my career journey. And ended up doing it, and I ended up loving everything that I did and everything that I was being taught and learning things about tech and things like that. And it was such an amazing experience going through that and gathering all that experience. And I felt that this was definitely a great fit for me, and I love what's being presented here to me with the company, and I really want to stay. So the great thing was that I had such a great supportive manager who had helped me get into the company and find a position that I can start off with. And from there, it's just been great. And here I am today.
It's a great story, and I think it's an inspiration probably to some people listening right now, figuring out what they're going to do with their lives and how they're going to get there. But Audrey McHale from Opportunity at Work, sometimes the stories don't have the right ending or have an even more complicated path. Like some people who have stories like Audrey's have what you call proven skills but paper gaps. So what does that mean in real-world hiring scenarios? I guess it's people who can do things but don't have the degree, right?
Absolutely. And we have been studying this issue, Brian, for a number of years. And, you know, Aaliyah really brought to life the experience, a very human experience that workers experience. But we've studied 130 million job transitions in the labor market. And, you know, I'm not going to bore you with too many data points here, but I think the themes are very clear. One of the things that has become really clear to us as we've looked at the data over the last several years and built our body of knowledge is that workers without degrees, stars, really experience a very different outcome in the labor market. First of all, they're far less likely when they make transitions in the labor market to experience mobility than non-stars do. And that means that over time, what you end up seeing is that stars really struggle to get those wage gains that so many non-stars enjoy with relative ease. You know, it used to be almost like a truism that if you are looking to change jobs, you should do that when you are going to experience roughly a 15% wage increase. And that's pretty, you know, regular occurrence for someone with a bachelor's degree. It is a relatively rare occurrence for a star. And part of the reason for that is that, to put it simply, employers tend to take risks on non-stars that they do not take on stars. And that's not just me, Audrey, saying that as an assertion. We see it in the data. And we see it because we've studied these transitions and know what we call the skills distance is between each job and every other job. And when we look at how stars move through the labor market, they do make skills-based transitions. But really, the theme that I want to leave you with on this point is simply that stars are really having to prove themselves in ways that the bar is far higher for them than it is for non-stars. And I will say that I have had people take risks on me as a worker and invest in me as a worker. And at every turn, what we look at, what we see is that stars just have a very different experience. And Aaliyah's story is one of breaking through, and it's amazing. And we are starting to hopefully see the patterns of employment and employer behavior and practices start to shift. But it's been a long road. And over the past 25 years, frankly, the story hasn't been quite that rosy. We are starting to shift that downward trajectory. But, it's a downward trajectory that has been building since 2020.
So, Audrey, why is the default for so many employers still college degree required, even for jobs that don't clearly need one?
Well, I think some of it, Brian, is frankly unexamined assumptions. And that's one of the things we're really trying to address and bring attention to and have been for some time. The truth is that we really have seen, and as I alluded to this slightly earlier, but we have seen for decades stars lose access to jobs. And these are jobs in many cases that they have had access to in the past. They're things like HR manager or admin assistant, you know, that no reasonable person, I think, would say you must have a college degree for. Part of it was just a hack of, you know, hey, I'm getting flooded with applications and how do I cut down on that? But we would argue that that hack is broken. I will say that I think we are starting to see the tide shift a little bit. We're actually releasing some new data in a couple of weeks showing how those losses have slowed drastically in the last 5 years. Not only that, but according to our new data, we believe that millions more stars could be in good paying jobs by the end of the decade. I do want to make sure to make that point because while it's been a tough story since 2000, I have reason for hope. One of the things that you heard from Jonathan and Zoe, your callers earlier, was their very real experiences and the downsides of, one, the college for all argument, two, this tendency to, frankly, overestimate the proportion of the workforce that has a college degree. I think that's one of the reasons we've seen those losses that we've seen. But we are starting to see a shift. And I think some of the data that we'll be releasing later this month, as well as examples of employers who are genuinely and with intention making those shifts, not because it's the right thing to do, although it is the right thing to do, but also because it makes good business sense. You heard from Zoe. She is starting to question in her education whether or not it makes sense for her to get that bachelor's degree. There's tons of research out there, many surveys that have been issued that have shown that this generation of students is really starting to rethink the value proposition of college. Now, I'm not here to tell you that college is or isn't valuable. It's a reliable way to get a middle-class lifestyle. But I think that college for all argument underserves folks really tragically. And I think all we're trying to say is we should really be thinking about skills as the way we assess workers, not how they got those skills. And so I'm hopeful. I think there are some really tremendous shifts that are taking place. We see employers starting to include things like training programs, apprenticeships. We have partners like Train and Accenture that have made huge investments in apprenticeship, which is incredibly exciting and hopeful for a lot of workers for whom a bachelor's degree may not be the right choice. But I think that those are some of the things that I would point to as what we can look forward to in this country and in terms of the job market.
I think Michael in Brooklyn has a story from his workplace of an unnecessary degree requirement as he sees it. Michael, you're on WNYC. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, hi. Yeah, just background. I'm an IT person at a mega law firm in New York City. I have a college degree and an MA humanities degree. To get the job I had, a college degree was a requirement, but obviously my degrees have absolutely nothing to do with what I do. I just like this stuff, and I kind of picked it up along the way, and I'm pretty good at it. The previous caller, Jonathan, I'm quoting him, said employers wouldn't even look at people like me because he doesn't have those. And I think that's what the issue is here. Employers know college degrees don't matter for what they want. They're an imposed class barrier to keep out people they just don't want to be around, but perhaps keep them out in ways that they can say rather than things they can't say, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And I think that is a real impetus behind the requirement of college degrees. I mean, I got my job because of a nonsensical degree that has nothing to do with it. Just one other point. One of your guests, Ms. Siddiqui or Ms. Mekahel, just said, you know, I think the value of education is not just the lifestyle it will buy you. If I worked in minimum wage at Walmart, I'd still be a happier, maybe better person because of the education I have. That's not the only value of a college education, but that's secondary. But I just want to say, I wonder if your guests agree with me that these requirements are just, you know, a way to keep the riffraff out, basically. You know.
Well, Audrey, what do you think?
So I do think that there are situations in which our cognitive biases, whether we're conscious of them or not, play a role. One that I've seen quite frequently is what's called mini-me bias. So you've heard that expressed colloquially as, you remind me of me when I was younger. So, you know, I do think it's alluding to what I said earlier about those unexamined assumptions. I think one of those, which frankly I was guilty of before I started working in this space, was simply not recognizing that when we require a degree, especially a generic degree, we're really just blocking access and opportunity for so many workers. And the fact of the matter is, it's the majority of Black workers, of Hispanic workers, of veterans, and of rural workers like the earlier caller, Jonathan. And I think that implication is something that a lot of folks just don't recognize and don't understand. So much of what we are trying to do in our work is simply bring awareness to the reality that, again, 70 million workers in this country, nearly 4 million workers in New York, do not have a bachelor's degree. And that means that we are just blinding ourselves to huge swaths of the workforce, the skilled workforce.
See how common that is when discussing the system of white supremacy racism. Every time, if white people do practice white supremacy racism, and understand, we're not exactly saying that they are, but if racism, white supremacy is being practiced, they blind. See how many fingers I'm holding up? I can't. 15. I can't. I don't know. I'm blind. I don't know. I can't see. Ignorant. Unaware. We heard all that. I told you. All of the white people. Wait a minute. Let me do it correctly. Is not all white peoples is racist. And the few of the white people that are racist, they're ignorant, unaware, unconscious, and or blind. Maybe a teaspoon of all three. A little ignorant and blind. But they still get a job. Context of White Supremacy. Worthless Negro from Virginia, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast. I even got a teaspoon sidetrack because I was listening to Aaliyah Siddiqui. And see, that name would throw you a little bit, see. Like, Aaliyah Siddiqui? What? I had to look for both of them, actually. Aaliyah Siddiqui and Audrey Mekahel. I guess maybe it doesn't matter because I would still say the same thing regardless, but oh my goodness. Are we watching Austin Powers? Is that what we're doing? Audrey Mekahel, you all can look. I think she'd be classified as white. Audreymichael. I think she'd be classified as white, but you can look in, whatever. But regardless, when they got towards the end, they said, man, we got what we call it mini-me bias. You look just like me when I was just starting out, and oh man, I used to have an outfit just like that. Man, I want to give you, yeah. One, now, if we're talking about people classified as white who got this so-called mini-me, Gus T say, I guess I really need to write that up like serious. It is minimize, like many, obfuscate, and omit. Now, I mean, are we talking about Austin Powers? Or are we talking about the system of white supremacy racism in the area of labor? Mini-me bias, racism, white supremacy in labor. Anyway, but if we're talking about people classified as white who got this mini-me bias, and they are a minority of the population, and so they don't look at the global population and just say, I want to pick the most talented person. They say, oh man, I want somebody that looks like me. Well, dang, you've eliminated like 90% of the workforce already, not because they can't do the job, but because I practice racism, white supremacy, and I want to hire someone who also has those same characteristics, skin type, complexion, hair, that we associate, that racists associate with people that are classified as white. That, in and of itself, like I said, I don't know what else to call that other than white supremacy racism. The big lie in all of this, see, that's why I said we don't have no meritocracy. That is, nonsense of the highest. We don't have no democracy. We have cronyism. And a lot of times it's not even I want somebody that looks like me. I want specifically my homies from kindergarten. Homies from my fraternity that we got through the hazing with. Miss you, Caleb. Want to get my brother-in-law who's shiftless. Make sure that, my sister going to be okay. It's not even just any old white person. It's a lot of times it's a lot of cronyism. I'm hooking up my friends and relatives in all this. That's not mini-me, but they couldn't just say we got bias, which I still think would be tagged. Miss your old Austin Powerballs. Miss it. We're going to say mini-me bias. Mini-me bias. Mini-me BS. Anyway, there was a lot of interesting tidbits in that segment, but matter of fact, wait a minute. Even did you hear now all that was New York Public Radio, WNYC, so they don't have pictures and all the rest of it, so I don't know. These are just voices on the line. But the fellow that dialed in towards the end, I suspect this is a white dude because he was being so refined, so codified with what he said, what he didn't say about, college and that just being a way to get rid of people that you don't want to be around you. Now, who is it that we don't want to be around? Who is it we want to make sure we can find a way to keep away from around here? And he couldn't even be specific about who exactly we don't want. I think you know what I'm saying. And nobody on the line said, wait a minute, sir. I don't know who you talking about exactly. What you mean now? You think this some sort of scam we got just to illegally bar people from employment? Like what kind of scam? Nobody said that. We got it. Yeah. Can't be ignorant about racism and classified as white, and this is especially on display in the workplace. Dr. Curry used to point that out. He said that explicitly on the broadcast. He said, man, if we got all these dumb and ignorant white people, dumb specifically about racism, man, why don't they flex a little of their intellectual ineptitude in the hiring practice? I just, all of the Lakeishas, come on in. Come on in, Lakeisha. Come on in, Leroy. Dante, you need to come on in. Come on in. I hired them all, too. Gave them executive salaries, too. You don't see that. You don't see no white. How many of you all have seen white people get fired because they were just hooking up all the black people? All the black people getting raises and promotions and hired and bonuses and all of that. Got nice big desks. They come in and ask one time, I'm having some back problems. You think you need a new desk? We got you right now, Leroy. It's going to be here tomorrow morning. How many of you all know white people that get fired for that sort of thing in the workplace? Let's ask this. How many of you all got a white person advocate for you? Time for you to get a bonus. We heard a young lady down in Georgia. She said it was time for me to get a bonus. And, of course, it was not Negroes who was going to make the decision, but some helpful white people. She's done pretty well. We'll give it to her. How many of you all got that white person that's going to be there? I got your back, Leroy. Promotion time, you give me a holler, and I'm going to scream till I lose. Boy, Cory Booker don't know nothing. I'm going to get out here and speechify like you ain't never seen. Make sure you get that raise. New office, too. Big one. How many of you are that mentor? They just talked about that. How many of you all got a white person? I've been working there. They said, even though that's, you like a little swarthy version of me, we cut from the same cloth. Game, recognized game. Come here, Leroy. I got you. I'm gonna put you under my wing, see, in a non-sexual way. But I'm going to put you under my wing, and we're going to learn. You're going to know everything I know. By the time I'm ready to retire, bang, you take my office maybe. Start your own company. Who knows? But we fitting to learn. Get a pen. How many of you all got that sort of thing? From a person classified as white. Fella was so codified when he called in to share all that. So you know what I'm talking about. Almost like his penalties. Come out here and snitch on the business ready. You know we don't hire niggers. What if we got Phi Beta Kappa and everything? He didn't do no hazing. He skipped all that. Studied hard. Perfect GPA and all. We don't hire. We actually do need to get this job. We don't hire Negras. System of white supremacy racism. Before we get to the remainder of the segments, if you have problems, really, if you figured out some codification of your own, if you have gotten as refined as that caller that I suspect was a white dude, you have figured out this is what to say, this is what not to say. In order to get problems solved, in order to get that raise, in order to get that promotion, get that bonus, whatever it is, you have figured out. These are some tips. Tried and true, as they say. We need that like ASAP. So if you have figured out any ways to solve problems in the workplace for non-white people victims of white supremacy, let us know pronto. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Before I get to the audio clips, emails, all the rest, man, those tariffs, and I say again now, Donald Trump, what I've been saying for months, I think at this point, President Trump, all these firings, all this, you're fired. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're not fired. Wait a minute. Whoa. Actually, you are fired. Is we going to be fired? I don't know. Did you send that email? Did you explain what your job is? We did do it. Oh, wait a minute. No, we didn't do it. Oh, we got to do it again next week? Oh, Lord. Ooh. All of that, the C words you keep hearing. Confusion. Is this legal? We don't know. Confusion. Fuller says you can drive people insane just by keeping them confused. I've been saying that. We just saw this with COVID-19. All that, especially with the first couple of days. Oh, my God. Have people out fighting in the streets over corn dogs and parking spaces. Remember all that? Confusion. That wasn't even that long ago. I went to the grocery store. This was yesterday, right here in Seattle. Non-white, non-black store clerk. And she said, man, I'm going to tell you, Brother Gus, it has been a doozy. This is Wednesday. And I said, what happened? She said, let me tell you. I'm finna tell you. She said, look, people have been coming in. Now, this is middle of Seattle, right? Like you could walk to downtown like 10 minutes. They don't have lots of niggers who shop at this store. I count. She counts too. I'd even say she's non-white, non-black. They don't have lots of niggers shopping at this store. I don't suspect it was a whole lot of Leroy, Lakeisha, Jamal coming through, causing her trouble in the line. But we gonna see. So she says, man, these folks have been coming through. They are mad. Ooh. Why is it so high? Ooh. And they'll pull out like a coupon, be like the 2 for whatever, get 2 for 4 type of a thing. So she says she'll pull out the coupon, or they'll pull out the coupon, and she'd be like, oh, ma'am, you have to get 2 of that. Just, you're trying to trick me. I'm not getting 2. I just want 1 of them. See, you're trying to take all my money. And she said it was that all day long, and she said she went to give female, I think she said it was a female, she went to give her change for the order, and she said the woman snatched it out of her hand and scowled. I'm saying, whoa. Like, wow. She said it has just been so hostile. Like, I did not set the prices. I'm not responsible. Like, I don't even own the grocery store. Like, I'm just doing the check-in, man. Like, you are really misdirecting your hostilities. And again, now I'm suspecting this is a whole lot of white people coming through the line being unruly. You can expect a lot of it. You might even be experiencing some of this yourselves. We just saw this, like I said, going through COVID-19 and how people dealt with sustained anxiety, crisis, confusion. We did not handle it well at all. Now look at it. Oh, and COVID's still there. They say, at least for many folks, that's still a problem, what have you, but whatever. Man, in a work environment, especially if you work something like in the public, I would just be abreast of all of this, that there might be an increase in people behaving in a highly discourteous, dare I say, hostile and aggressive manner, especially, like I said, if it's something in the public where they might have to wait in line, where they might have to pay, like caller at the courthouse. He's talked about where people come in, sometimes it'll be a big conflict about, well, you got to pay to get these copies, and sometimes they or at least pretend that they didn't know you had to pay to get the copies, so that'll come a big deal, and oh my God, you're going to kill me and take all my... Anything like that, I would expect, okay, people might be a little more upset about things, especially if there's been any sort of price increase. Oh, man, be prepared for it. And I would check the policy. If people are being unruly like that and snatching things and saying nasty things to you, acting like you are responsible for whatever it is, I would check the policy. Do you have the right to refuse service? And I would be safety because I could easily see people are upset, don't know if I'm going to be fired, can I afford these new prices and all that, and should I be buying all this if I might lose my job tomorrow? Like, if that is going to have that much of an impact, I could and I'm in a state like Washington, you have lots of people who carry guns. White people are armed. That's one thing I even thought the whole Alton Metcalf situation, that shooting down in Frisco, Texas. Man, like, even if, now I don't know the situation, I'm not speaking for the record, anything like that. I'm just talking hypothetically. Like, okay, let's say that Austin Metcalf, the white teenager at the track meet, let's say he said something really nasty and aggressive and kicked Carmelo Anthony's lunchbox. Again, I'm not saying any of that happened. I do not know. We'll have to see it all play out. I'm just saying, let's say, hypothetically, let's say that happened. Okay. Now, if I'm Carmelo Anthony now, I could get mad. You know, what, Whitey, who do you, ooh. Now, you could, pull out your knife and go, I'm going to do my thing. Now, I've seen photos where this white lad had a firearm. Oh, man. You do not. They got metaphors and old tacky cliches about that. I done pulled out my sword and, oh, man, did he pull out an AR? Oh, Lord, I made a bad decision today. Might have been my last decision. Oh, Lord. White people are really, really dangerous. It is always a great idea. Think in advance, even if they are hostile and nasty to you in your, workplace situation. They come to the counter and nasty and, what do you think? They might be armed. I was going to put a bullet in somebody today. I was waiting for somebody to get sassy with me, and it happened to be you. And I give me a nigger to boot, so whoopee. I would keep that in mind. Like, man, especially right now, I would not want no public, confrontations with anybody on the job or just period. But I would not want no random like, I didn't leave the house prepared to go out and do this. This was a part of my plan for my Thursday, April 10, on this here planet, was to go out, and I'm going to get into it with, Johnny Wiggins at 3:30 p.m. If that was not in your plan already, you've been leading up to that. No, I'm gonna pass. You have no idea. Is that Tim McVeigh that I'm about to get into it with? And I'm Tim McVeigh, and we get into it, and even let's say I get the best of him, and I go whop upside his and whop. I'm doing the Mike Tyson on him, and boom, hit him. He fall down, and he got the bomb trigger in his pocket. Bam. Now we all, I thought I got him. No, brother, I done got you still. Bang. You still gone. You have no idea. Like, woo. No confrontations in the workplace, especially if you deal with the public. Even your other coworkers could be acting a little, whatever. But especially if you deal with the public, be on guard. And if you have to go to people's houses and things too, oh my God, be extra on guard, especially if you got to do any money. Most of that stuff, the financial part of it has already gone down, so you're just delivering. They should be happy. But even then, be on guard. No confrontations. Let me get out here. Anyway, with regards to the reports that we heard, specifically audio segments at the beginning of the broadcast, number one, they started with the folks who are employed in the AI sector. You get paid to do nothing for a year, like a paid sabbatical, just because they're trying to poach all of this talent that I guess is in great demand. Probably don't even have enough people to do these jobs. Things falling, catastrophe, my goodness. But don't even have enough people to do these jobs. And so that's another one thing now. How many dark people? How many people look like, Dr. Welsing, Dr. Kanban? Get that sort of job where they're in the AI field and get a whole year where you're still raking in nickels, but you can just do just don't work for another AI company. Don't go join one of the rivals. But man, you could be doing research, yoga, take some classes, get you a master's degree, like all kinds of things, like travel. teach your children. Man, I mean, just, it would be endless. I'm going to make a greenhouse. It would be endless in terms of what you could, you know, I got a whole year and I got income to boot. Like, wow. I really got to take it that time and energy. I'm going to have to make the most of my time and energy. Now, how many non-white people are get that sort of, you know, situation? Come on. Let's see. The segment on Alfredo Lalo Juarez Zeferino right here in Gus's beloved Washington State. Now that one, and I hear the folks, you know, that coon, Gus T, we done told you, that's what's wrong with you. You need to focus on people that are classified as black, and particularly black people that were born right here with your worthless behind in the area designated as the U.S. We told you the non-white, non-black people do not care nothing about no black people. They are not concerned about black people's problems. They're not concerned with helping replace white supremacy with justice, or even helping, you know, black people recognize some of our issues and how white people mistreat us, and mistreat us far worse than the non-white people who are not classified as black. All of that said, I got to listening to that thing, and I said, man, the Northwest Detention Center, that's like right down the road from where Gus T is. It's not even an hour. That is right down the road. Now, really, even before they got to all that, and they said, you know, Lalo picking all these strawberries, man, I tear up some strawberries. I just had me strawberry smoothie yesterday. Yummy and delicious. Matter of fact, 2 days in a row had my strawberry smoothie. I switched it up, sipping my pineapple, mango, grapefruit smoothie for the broadcast today, which was Eagle. What was it? Eagle? Either way, I eat a lot of strawberries, aiming to get more immediately. So I said, man, that's... Man, not that I was unaware that they have lots of non-white people, most of them, I would say, non-white, non-black, who do a lot of the fruit agricultural picking in Washington State and many other areas, but for sure, Washington State. Says, man, all the strawberries and this non-white person, and now they said when 16-year-old Lalo is riding and the enforcement officers stop him and says, whoa, do you have a warrant to do all these searches? Oh, my Lord. Gus T, you say that all the time. I said, that's my non-white brother. I say that every day. I say that every time. He didn't say, oh, sure, officers, I don't have nothing to hide. Please, go right ahead and search. I'll help you search. No. Do you have a warrant? Now, he didn't say it like he had no army, and that's not the way you say it. And they might do exactly what was described. They might break the window, break the door, snatch you up out the car, throw you on the curb, shut up, coon, and then they go through the car and do whatever. That's fine. You just want to make sure that you courteously, sir, ma'am, officer, I do not consent to any search of my person, phone, property, vehicle, residence without a warrant. That's all. No, you're just doing your job. I know. But it was on, man. And again, I just kept saying, man, all of the places that they are talking about, now some of them are a little bit further away than others, but I mean, dang, that is like right here in Washington State. And them, you know, like I said, there's no thought that Lalo is my black brother, even though they said Lalo is mestizo. He's not even Latino. He's like indigenous, non-white person. Non-white person. They said he had to go and he knows the mestizo language so he can go and talk to other, presumably, non-white mestizo classified individuals. He can go and talk to them and explain things and all the rest of it. Like, dang, that, at minimum, I don't think Lalo is the most to blame for the black people's problems in Washington State or in Washington or the United States in general. might even have to say thank you for going through all that to get me the strawberries that I love so much. That notwithstanding, that was many reasons why I played the segment there. Like I said, I'm very aware not all the people that are classified as black think that is relevant, but for sure I think that is all relevant. Even my BFF Amy Goodman doing the interview on all that. Like Bellingham, that's a little bit further away to the north of where I am in Seattle, but still all of that is right here. Washington State. White people not ignorant about racism, white supremacy either. They know very well who is responsible for getting them all of their lovely organic produce that is so delish, markets that I was just talking about and such. Let's see, the segment on, oh my God, Joseph Ross, man. I'm going to have to, let me get one thing good about Milwaukee. Two things good. Sheena Scarborough is one thing good about Milwaukee. She is amazing. Wow, just amazing. Sade Robinson's mother. Wow. Go to the website, SadeRobinsonsVoice.com. SadeRobinsonsVoice.com. Now, Sade's Voice, make sure I give it correctly. Sade'sVoiceFoundation.com. Sade's Voice Foundation.com. Make sure I share the address correctly so folks can visit, support. But that's one thing. Sheena Scarborough, one amazing thing about Milwaukee. Second amazing thing about Milwaukee, Zoe Henry. Who is Zoe Henry? The lovely Zoe Henry, reporter for Wisconsin 12 News. Oh my goodness. My sick white brother Joseph Ross, accused of swangoing his coworkers at the fair, of all places. I'ma fix your wagon. Let me get this Coke Zero. Monkey glue your Coke Zero. Said it. My Coke Zero, it got that chemical sniffing aroma. And it tastes funny. Anything at work, food, beverage, it doesn't look exactly the way you packaged it. It smells, it's open, like, Now, a whole lot of this, it shouldn't happen anyway because I don't leave no lunches in the community refrigerator. Now, the beverage might be a bit more at risk because you can have your beverage on your desk and you could just be distracted for a second where you have to turn around to pick up something, or you get up to go, grab something out of a filing cabinet, or you go to the restroom really quick so you're not at the area for 60 seconds, 3 minutes or whatever, and that's long enough. Swangoed. So that might be something to even think about. Like I said, now they do have smart water bottles and such, beverage containers that lock. You can pour whatever in it. It locks. It scans your fingerprint, and it only opens for that fingerprint. Other time, it's locked. They have these for children. Adults, they have some really fancy ones that are temperature, self-regulating, self-cleaning. I mean, really fancy. And then they have some that are just water bottle that locks. That might be something to think about. Or, any beverage. It might be rules that they have at the bar. I know some people, that's the rules they have at the bar. Any beverage or what have you that I have at the bar, I have my hand on it the whole time. If I leave, I got to go to the bathroom. Cool dude comes by and asks me to dance, and I put that drink down. We go out to dance with that cool fella. We are done. I'm going to need me another cool dude to come by and get me a brand new one because that one is done. Might have to be the same rules implied in the workplace because, wow, it is not just one Swango. And apparently he had superglued her beverage a few times. And Swango, same thing. He was doing that to a number of coworkers. But fine. Zoe Henry, black reporter. She was at the courthouse, my plan, she was at the courthouse for Joseph Ross's first hearing. And he pleads not guilty, so they're going to, go through the proceedings and what have you. My sick white brother comes out of the courtroom. Zoe ran up with the camera and said, "Look here, Joseph Ross. What you mean you gonna plead not guilty? We got it on camera. What you mean?" Joseph Ross looked so stunned. Like, what nigga, woman with a camera, what's going on? And his lawyer said, "Hey, whoa. No comment. Let's go." And the lawyer started, and poor Joseph, he looked so shocked. And he finally started on it, and Zoe chased him right on out the courthouse. Like, "Man, wait a minute, Joseph. They got you on camera, Joseph. Don't you have something to say?" And the lawyer said, No comment. That second good thing about Milwaukee, Zoe Henry. Do your job. Brilliant work. Keep it up. Maybe she'll cover the Sade Robinson murder trial, and I'll get to see her at the courthouse. We can go. I thought about that, and it was the same thing like with Jones. I like, hey, we can go compare notes on the Sade Robinson. Man. Were you here for Jeff Dahmer? And he chomped on all the... You heard about that black female that got chomped on at the Mayfair Mall, the security? Just survive, Milwaukee. That is all. Just survive. Anyway, let's see. Joe, that would protect your beverage and your food in the workplace. They have the coolers as well, so you can just plug it in. You can get an old school cooler as well, but they have the 2025 coolers that are temperature regulated. You can get like a whole meal, probably a beverage in too. Bam. Leave it in the vehicle, bring it in with you, but keep it with you at all times, that sort of thing. Protect your beverage, food items in the workplace. Let's see. President Trump, yes, he is authorized with these firings of probationary employees. That's why it's like, hey, confusion. Even if you got the job, and then now black people, I think at least for a while, we've known first hired or last hired, first fired. At least for a while, we've known this is about what you can expect. Maybe they let you have that job for 2 weeks. That's another reason why you don't say, hey, this is not my job. You, Whitey, can take this job back anytime you feel by it. Really talked about that before. You can be fired at any time, and again, it doesn't have anything to do with your competence, your professionalism, how well you do your job. I can only say again, you doing your job well, right, might really motivate racists to get you out of there. I done hired all of my shiftless friends and family members, and we got this no-count nigger actually going to come in here and be hardworking and competent. Oh, Lord, you got to go. You making us look bad. Get on out of here. We've had some folks where that's kind of been what it is. Like, oh, my Lord, we might actually have to do some work or be showing up as lazy and incompetent ourselves. Lord, you got to go. Meritocracy, they say. Come on. But being prepared, and like I said, I would tell that to young people as well. That also can encourage other behaviors in terms of we don't do the reckless spending, even the behaviors on the job. I could be fired today. I'm not going to be decorating my office and bringing in all my office plants and all that. I do that at home. This is not my office, desk, computer, nothing. They could take all this back today. The segment WNYC talking about their so-called or stars, people who do not have all of the college degrees and didn't get to go to Harvard and Yale and all the rest of it, successful living without all that, skills through alternative routes. That's what they call it for stars. But they said way late in that segment that you're talking about a lot of black people, non-white people who get excluded with that, because I was flashing back. I took one of the seminal moments in my life. I put it's right up there. We were studying O.J. Simpson, and I heard the late F. Lee Bailey questioning Mark Furman on the stand, and he said, what is your, career and training experience? And he said, well, I dropped out of high school and got my GED, and I went to about 1, 2, 3 community colleges. He didn't say he finished community college, but he said he attended 3 community colleges before he went on to frame Renthal James. Now, that was one where I said, whoa, you Mark GED Furman? Like, what? That was one moment. And I said, I put that one up when I read Clarence Lusane's book, Pipe Dream Blues, and he includes the footnoted information. If you are white and you drop out of college, drop out of high school like Mark Furman, and you have a criminal record, you are more likely to get a job than a black person who graduates college and high school and does not have a criminal record. I had to read that passage about 15 times, and when I did, I didn't even want to read any more of the book, which I did finish. But man, what is the point of reading anything if you can be a white heroin trafficker who dropped out of the 10th grade, and I can get an interview, and that non-Clemson dad out there, I done got my CDL, I'm going to go work for the transportation department, got all my certifications. I didn't graduate from Clemson, but still I graduated. I'm valedictorian. Let me get an interview. We closed the position. Man, I can't even get it in. And if he had graduated from Clemson, we closed the interview. Man. But again, if I had been a white person and dropped out of high school in the 10th grade and had a heroin conviction, Wednesday, 2:30 p.m., what does it mean to be white? Anyway, they can do with that. Man, it was so much in the segment. I have no problem. That's a segment I would have loved to have seen pictures of everybody, all the callers, everybody who talk. Let's put a picture of them up so we can see, is this a white person, non-white person, all that information. All of that said, that is great. If you can't, now, what they said at the end was so important, though, because they said these so-called STARS, skills through alternative routes workers, white people don't take chances on them. They will take a chance, if you want to use that verbiage, on a white person who has a criminal record, a white person who cannot type, a white person who has no credentials at all, but someone who actually does have work experience if they are not white, just because they didn't go into $100,000 worth of debt and waste all that time and energy and get hazed like my man Caleb Wilson at college, just because of that. We can't get that one. Now, again, the caller then said, hey, really, all of this is just, we don't really want no niggers on the job, no way, so we'll just use this. Wink, wink. Oh, you didn't get a college? Oh, you not, yeah, well, you got to have a college degree to get, yeah, you probably won't have the skills that we need for this job. Wink, wink. Got white people back there can't spell college. But yeah, you didn't graduate. Yeah. The folks that they said moved through, they had mentorship and opportunities. That's why I said, do we have any folks listening? You got a white person? We've heard, I think, non-Clemson dad and other folks did have non-white people, black people who kind of aiding them in their career, guiding them along. Tremendous. You're so lucky. But do we have any folks who have a white person? You stick with me, boy. Like, here's my card. You drop me a line. We'll go out for lunch. You have any career questions or problems? You want me to look at your resume or whatever it is? You drop me a line. You will have my ear. Anybody got a white person like that helped your career along? You can let us know. Anywho, and even I'm processing with all that as well. Like, man, with the landscape as is, like, wow, that would be a lot to think about with all the technological changes and such that they're talking about. Like, what sort of jobs exactly are we talking about that are skills, not going to these colleges? Like, what are you going to do? And then what is this job going to look like 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now? What is it going to look like? How much is technology going to change this job, if at all, over the course of that period of time? Those would be some serious questions that I would have, especially for non-white. That's what I said. If you're a parent right now, like, oh my God, it would be mandatory to talk about labor and career expectations in that fashion, because you do not want to pick something, and I wouldn't even know what to tell. Like, it would take a lot of thinking and researching and then updated thinking, but you do not want to pick something that this is going to be obsolete, because the bots are going to be doing all of this in like 5 years or 10 years or whatever, and you'll have to start from scratch. Let's see. Anything else? I guess I can pause for many. Let's talk about that. Yeah, pause for the rest of it. If you have commentary, if you have figured out some tactics that work to minimize the racism in the workplace, definitely we need that immediately. But if you're having any sort of problems, difficulties, you got that white mentor who has helped mold and shape a stellar career for you, the number 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press *61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. We shall see if we have any folks who have that white mentor. And maybe that is a metaphor, the white mentor. I have to think about that. Can that be used as a metaphor? The ghost of the white mentor. We'll see if anybody has one. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. Lauren should be with us. Let's see. Have you had a white mentor who's kind of helped guide you in your professional development?
Evening, guys. Evening, everyone else. Yes, I have had a white man who taught me how to do something very constructive. Enabled me to pay a mortgage that the same white man who, I gotta say, I used to think we were friends. But 12 years after I'd met him, he admitted to me that he was a racist, and it took 12 years for him to tell me that, because that's how long it took for me to ask. I guess my thoughts about the segments that were played today. Lalo, they talked about him, and they were talking about, the person said ICE was looking for people who were activists. I think they said labor activists, something like that. Also, it said that ICE said he had a detention order since March 25th. I think that's what was said. I heard on NPR that government approval for these people, the people called immigrants, is being rescinded, and they are not being notified. So their visa is being canceled, or their green card, or whatever sort of approval they have from white people is being canceled. They aren't even being told, and then ICE is just going and picking up these non-white people and shipping them off to different places. And that's what it made me think about when I heard that part about Lilo. It made me think about Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia student who was arrested without a warrant. That lady, Rumeysa Ozturk, the tough student who wrote the op-ed for the people in the area of the world called Palestine. There's another person called, I don't know how you say his name, Badar or Bader. Khan Suri, he's a Georgetown professor and postdoctoral scholar. Same thing, they did with him. All of the people were supporting the area of the world called Palestine. That's just, code for non-white people. And that's what Laylo was doing. He was trying to help other non-white people in the workplace, helping them not to be mistreated by people classified as white. So, ICE is going around picking up these people and shipping them off to detention facilities in Texas and Louisiana, places that NPR referred to as black holes. When it was sounded like a non-white male, I am not certain. He said his name was Edgar. He was talking about Laylo, and he said it's going to send a chill on everybody that's organizing. Send a chill. That's a metaphor. And I was trying to think of maybe, what's a better way to say that, more precise? Maybe decrease or discontinue the productive efforts of non-white people trying to make sure other non-white people aren't mistreated in the workplace. Would have been a more precise way. Let me see. The stars, that segment about the stars, people skilled through alternative routes. That was interesting. And as that segment went on, first they started talking about the stars, which is, I guess I was equating with non-white people in my mind, right? And then as the segment progressed, they started saying non-stars, talking about what I assumed was white people. But it was a reluctance or unwillingness to use the term white people. So I did notice that, the non-stars. And at the end, the white lady was talking about unexamined assumptions. And I thought, that just makes it sound like the employer doesn't understand what they're doing. And I think they understand completely. Just in my workplace, there's a white woman on the job. I'll call her Miss Margaret. And she was complaining about people changing. She had made up a form for us to fill out when we were doing our jobs, right? And there was questions on this form, and people had changed the questions, changed the wording of the questions and the order of the questions, and she was not pleased. And she was vociferously complaining about people changing this form without consulting her first. And she told me several times that people had been monkeying around with the form. This had, I don't know if I've ever told you guys about this, but this is the same lady who told me she doesn't like people named Keisha because a lady named Keisha used to work for her husband and she didn't like her. So now, 10, 20 years later, she meets somebody named Keisha and she just automatically assumes she won't like her. That's all I have. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Damn all the Keishas. I love it. Let's see. Now that's vindictive too. If it's got to be damn all the Keishas forever and eternity. Come on now. She didn't even say. Maybe she was hiding it from. Maybe Keisha had a thing for her hubby. So said, yeah, I was about to stab Keisha. You don't play around my, high school sweetheart. I'm done. Anywho, Edgar Franks in the report on Laylo, he was talking about the so-called chill through the workers. I said, man, terrorize, create and maintain a state of extreme fear and distress in someone, fill with terror. And then the example, he used his private army to terrorize the population. That is the perfect. This will terrorize other workers. Perfect. Words are important. That's another one where I said, man, metaphors. Although it might be cold at the detention center, but that's not really terrorize workers. And now see, she said she did have a constructive white person. Did admit to that. Even there, can't say not all white peoples is racist, Gus. I had a constructive white man help get it. No. Now, he was constructive. Got that mortgage paid down and everything, but he did say he is a racist white man. And I thought that was my white friend. Dang. Happens to a lot of us. Don't be friends with a racist in the workplace. Could be that. And that's not to say you do want that advice and plenty of it. That's why I say you're not there to be mute. We chat it up. Let's talk it up, because white people know a lot. You also got the ones who can't even type. You got to be discerning. But there are a lot of white people that know a lot of things, constructive information that you too would benefit from knowing. That's what you want to focus on, talking about and finding. See if you can locate at least one or two of those white people in the workplace, and we just talk about constructive things. It might even be they're so constructive that we can have lunch together from time to time. We're still sober, of course, and we're just talking about constructive things. If you can find such a person, if not, the lunch, that's just, wow, they're so constructive and filled with knowledge. I just, try to hang out as much as possible and write notes and check this and learning. But it's been my experience we don't get too many. And the reason you're still sober, you still got your guard up and all that, is because she didn't say, hey, Gus, not all white people is racist. She didn't say that. She said this was a really constructive white man, knew a lot of things, very beneficial in my learning and understanding, but admitted racist. Not my friend. Very important. Let's see. Much obliged. Lauren. Let's see. They didn't want to say white people in that segment. You see, the critical points. We don't want to say that this is racism, mini-me bias, and we don't want to say that it's white people that don't want non-white people around. And even if those non-white people do have highfalutin degrees, as a matter of fact, they got racist joke about that. What you call a black person with a PhD? Negro. High five. That was good. And that's old. They've been saying that for, Methuselah, W.E.B. Du Bois probably heard that. Like, yeah. They say that every time. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. We'll get one email. Okay. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. Your analysis of the racist suspects at my job is on point. The only bit you got wrong is that Shauna and I are black. Shauna is her direct supervisor, black female. But Harry, the director, is a white suspected racist and Shauna's direct boss. We don't have a black boss. Okay, that's it. I thought the person, I guess Harry, I thought this dude was a non-white, non-black person, but he is a just plain old white dude, racist suspect. Got it. Strive for accuracy. No black boss. No black boss. Shauna is head of the team and black, which would upset most racists, and our writer is also black and a manager and the longest and most experienced member of the team, which also makes the racist suspects mad. Absolutely. Shelley and Zoe have been in post a year now, but are new at the grade. Shelley is extremely aggressive in her ambition to trample on the nigresses. I'm sure these niggers are supposed to be cleaning the toilets or, washing our car or something. Like, they're not supposed to be here. Certainly not bossing us around. Jesus Christ. Right-wing Ashley's rage is in overdrive for having to report to black women. Zoe, on the other hand, is more refined and covert in her racist antics, but I see her. She's always in the observer witness role should any of the uppity black people stand up to racism. Dang. Dang. That is, wow. That is highly specific. Thank you for the detail. She would be there to lie on behalf of her white colleague. Now, that's like an underline. That is so important, having other white people who are willing to lie for you, support your lie, whatever deception is required. We got your back. That is so powerful, especially in a workplace context. I previously reported that right-wing Ashley had sent me emails in an extremely formal tone as though I was a stranger she never met and certainly not her manager. This was after I'd given her positive feedback on the progress she'd made. I could tell she didn't like it by her body language, but I didn't pay it too much attention. We also had a team session on ways of working. I thought it was prompted by Shelley, but it was in fact right-wing Ashley who is experiencing difficulty with the way I'm giving feedback. That's so like what? Should I not snick? Like, what does that mean? Like, she has difficulty with the way. What does that mean? Like, does she say you're unprofessional? Or what, like, specifically? Like, what's the problem exactly? Like, does she tell, like, is this, like, written out, like, as a complaint? Or is this just, like, grousing in the bathroom about the nigger woman? What is it? Is this like a formal thing that's on a document where she says, this nigger gets me in here and she, points her finger in my face, or she yelled at me, or, what? Be specific. Like, yeah, because that's like, wow, she has difficulty with the way I'm giving her feedback. I would want to know what. Like, break it down for me. Don't just leave me vague out here wondering. Like, what? Yeah, because if you tell me, I could remedy it, right? So what is it specifically that I'm doing or not doing that's giving you difficulty? She continues, at that time, I didn't know it was directed at me. Shauna told me that right-wing Ashley had said to her that she finds Shauna intimidating. Dun, dun, dun. That's basically, we got this nigger, and I don't like being around nigger. What the fella said, really, in the phone call that I said, I suspect it might be a white person because he was so refined about it, but I don't know. But he said, man, it's this whole, you got to have a degree thing. It's just to keep people away from us that we don't want to have around us. And wink, wink, you know what I'm talking about. Like that sort of thing. Like, yeah, this nigger woman is intimidating. What's she doing to be intimidating? Well, she's nigger and, and because that's so like lame and old, like they've wasted so much paper and cut down like a half of Amazon forest talking about angry black females and angry black males and angry black children and angry black Leroy and intimidating and angry black Lakeisha, and like, come on. Come on. Just your hair is angry and your eye rolling is angry and your big behind is angry and your big lips are angry, and we got it. We get it. And don't let me get back to your kinky hair because that's extra angry. And okay. What did I do to be in the? That was Shauna. What did she do to be intimidating? Exactly. Same thing about the, it's difficult. You got to get all this nigger feedback, and then the other niggers is bossing me, and don't do this and do that. I hate them both. She says, let's see. Shauna finds intimidating. Today, Zoe and I had the second performance discussion with right-wing Ashley, which she combined with feedback from a workplace adjustment meeting she recently did. Right-wing Ashley is very cunning. Her list of disabilities, in quotes, which I was told about for the first time today, is growing. ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, anxiety, OCD. Oh my God. Like, OMG, you put that on it too. Like, are you serious? That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. A white person would look at something like this on a resume and see all of this and then whatever else, and then see a black person who doesn't have any of these mental health issues. Not that I'm, stigmatizing someone with mental health, but I mean, wow. President Trump just talked about this. Like, that could be a lot of accommodations. Like, it's not one, it's all of this, and whoopee for neurodiversity and all that. But I mean, wow, that is a lot. How much of an accommodation are you going to need, as opposed to if you got a black person who doesn't have all these issues and they're qualified, we'd rather get this less qualified white person who's going to have to take 2 or 3 days a week off work to deal with her OCD and anxiety. And I'm like, come on. And not to mention now all of that, how are we going to have to behave around her in the workplace with all of this? Jesus, like, come on. And okay, so if this was you, now remember what she told us when she hurt her ankle, and even her black sister supervisor said, let me see the x-ray. No, I'm not saying you're lying. I just let me see the x-ray, because I mean, people say they got all kinds of. I remember that was it. Now, what? She can just say all that, and we just got to take it at face value. Like, oh yeah, she got the ADHD and dyslexia and anxiety, and oh yeah, we just got to take our time and be gentle. We just gonna love on old Ashley and just love on. If this was our writer, if she had all this, what kind of accommodations would she get? They would just accept it, at face value if she told them all of it. And if she sprung her, because she said it sounded like, right-wing Ashley had been working there for like months at least, maybe longer. And she said she just found out about all this. Imagine if this had been a black person. You've been working there for a year, and then you surprise them and tell them after, oh man, I got the OCD, I'm obsessive compulsive like that. What? Since when, Leroy? and now we got to make accommodations for you because they're like, what? Come on. She continues. She's been given several. She has been given several accommodations. She's about to get a fixed debt. Come on. I don't even want to read them. Do you remember? It took about a year. She said, man, my back is killing me. I got to go home. I got to. Show me the extra. I can't even get up. I don't even want to read anymore. And the same thing, I can at least got to do my sound effect, because she said this was not going to the white people to get the chair for her back. Remember, she was going to a black person for all of this. Sister. And it still took forever. And when she got it, remember, the white, this nigger done got, that's your, she's not going to share. This is your, like, you some queen nigger and you got a chair the rest of us can't use and nobody else can come. Oh my God, who do you think you are? Remember? Now she could just come in. Oh yeah, I got the ADHD and what else do I got? Oh, dyslexia. Yep, put that on there. OCD. Yep. Put that on there too. Vitiligo. Put that on there. Just anything. Yep. Got that too. And the comment, and they immediately get to the what you need. What you need? You need a desk. What you need? Computer. What you need? Anything. You just put the list down. We're gonna get it right now. Now, one thing, I would write all of that down. That is exactly what Fuller talks about. Now, when I put in my request for the chair, how long, and all of that documented, this date, time I put in for my chair, and this is when I got it. This is when she notifies us about, oh yeah, I got all these issues and what have you, and then blink of an eye. How does that happen? System of white supremacy racism. Wow. Let's see. She says, if she actually goes into the office, she had a lot of white people, they don't even, they do the Zoom and the footies. So as enhanced version of Copilot to assist her with dyslexia, which as far as I can see, she doesn't use to correct her writing. Instead, she's got herself a proofreading buddy, i.e. someone to check her work. I bet she was hoping it would be you. Waste your time, have you really do all my work. But today's meeting was really about putting me in my place. Apparently the feedback I give her is here we go. So she's okay. So the feedback I give her is too direct. She'd like it to be prefaced with positive aspects of her work and preferably verbal. In other words, don't put it in writing, and we'll be sharing examples of best practices that she was given by the assessor to share with me. She did acknowledge that she doesn't take feedback well, blaming this on her many disabilities rather than the fact that she's behaving like a racist. I prepared myself mentally before the meeting as I knew I was going to hear some nonsense. I observed Zoe's reactions and listened to what she said, then matched her tone. The fakeness and insincerity of white people in the workplace is something to behold. Tell me about it. Zoe and right-wing Ashley dislike each other, but I'm sure they discussed what right-wing Ashley doesn't like about my feedback before the meeting. Plus, they are white and have a shared racist code to adhere to. I always feel like Zoe is observing me with intent. She is. She's plotting, really. We are going to get this. I will continue to give right-wing Ashley feedback that she doesn't like when her work or her attitude is, oh man. You think you are going to say something about my nasty attitude? Ooh, this nigga woman has got another thing. I can't believe it. Anyway, she gets paid to do a job, and I'm not picking up her slack. Now, that's another one right there. That's what nigger means, basically. That's our job. That's what we've been conditioned. That's gone with the wind. That's everything about how we have been trained to behave since, like, forever. Pick up the slack of white woman, white man, white child for all of their days all over the known universe. That's our job. That's what God put us here to do, right? That Allah, you having that sort of callous uppity, like that's what they say. Who does this nigga woman think she is? She doesn't want to pick up our slack. We gonna get this nigga woman. Same thing I said before. Let's see. Which is what is really driving her mad, in addition to me telling her what to do. Last week, I reported on Shelley and Zoe's attempts to usurp me. I forgot to mention that when Shelley couldn't get information that she didn't need to know, she used right-wing Ashley to ask me the question. Right-wing Ashley also has no business asking me for that information, but I gave her a response which I know left them confused. Shelley, like right-wing Ashley, also claims to be neurodivergent and suffers from sensory overload. Don't we all? Like, how is that? Come on. Come on. Which is a reaction to stimuli in the environment, such as loud music, crowded spaces, lighting, etc. That's what I mean. Like, I didn't even need that because I know, like, aren't we all overstimulated? I guess maybe we have some people who live out in really rural environments. You don't live in a big city, and you don't have lots of big screen TVs and such around you. You don't have lots of iPhones all plastered everywhere. Everybody doesn't have 15 phones and their burner phones and all of that. But I think it's a whole lot, especially you all are going to work and such. Everybody in that environment is overstimulated. Like, join the crowd. We could all sign up and get those accommodations if that's the case. She says, Shelley once shared a picture of herself falling backwards into a mosh pit at a concert. Right-wing Ashley attended Lionel Richie's concert. It seems they both had no problems with overstimulate. That's what I'm talking about. Like, come on. And some of these are the same people when they have these tacky away days and you have to travel like 8 billion miles to go and hang out and do whatever and drink. They have no problem. It's not, whoa, my OCD is, cutting a fool today, and, they got all them weird lights, and I can't even do it. I got to sit home and calm myself and get some chamomile tea and just sit, by the window, take it easy. But nobody says that. It's, hey, let's get to it. Like, whoa, it's going to be great. Let's do it. Come on, man. Come on, we ain't got to get to the Lionel Richie concert. Like, come on. Meanwhile, Shauna is behaving as anti-black as I could vomit. I requested training this week. Bravo. Always love hearing black people trying to get training so we can be better at our job. There were around 10-day courses. Wow, that is a lot. 10-day courses? That is a lot of training, which added up to around $6,000, I guess, dollars. Is this money? Wow. Well, it is a lot of training, so it probably is expensive. Harry shared the prospectus with the division, so it was difficult for Shauna to say no outright. But she said she need to confirm with Harry, as it was a lot. Oh, that is money. That's what I was thinking. Like, wow, that's expensive, but that is a lot of time. It must be a lot of. You should go. Whatever this is, if it's that long and it costs that much, you should go do it. Like, yeah, you should go do it. You should go do it. And then tell us what you and then tell us what you learned, right? And then how many black people were there at the training? Because if it like that's a half of a month basically for all of this, and you might have to travel too, and then it's all expensive. Like, and they didn't want you to go, so go, sit up front, take good notes, and then tell us what did you learn, and then how many black people were at the training. She says. So Shauna says she's going to need to confirm with Harry, as it was a lot of money and there's a limited budget. She didn't raise the issue when I shared a training list from right-wing Ashley. The cost was roughly the same. Harry doesn't care. He does encourage learning and development, including master's and PhD level courses. You should take some of those too. And the company can afford it. Oh, you should take a bunch of them. It was approved for the training, but told to reduce it to a maximum of 6 courses. What? In other words, Shauna intervened and told Harry she didn't agree and everything I'd requested. He will back her as she's my manager. That is so lame. That is so lame. To be expected for sure. Because I just don't know who would be that stingy about training. This is not like just waste. We want to go to the pub and we're going to go to the strip joint and mess around with a few $1,000 or whatever the case. Like, This sounds like, whatever this is, sounds like really serious training. It was brought up within the company, seemed like something other people thought was valuable for you to learn, attend. Maybe you can bring back some information that the rest of us can use. And when she says Shauna just went to the assessor, she just had some sort of training. So what's the deal? Don't come and penny pinch me. I don't know. Just maybe cut it back to 6. That is so lame. To be expected. And really, she said earlier in the letter, she said that she got herself mentally prepared for the meeting because she knew this is not going to be about justice. They, false accusations against me or whatever, come trying to embarrass me again or whatever, but it's not going to be constructive. Let me, go ahead and deep breaths. Deep breath. And you channel Dr. Welsing. Thinking, processing. Okay, what are they going to be doing to me? What am I going to say? Keep my composure. Okay, and then you plot what you're going to then turn out to be right. And the same thing when she got to the end about this anti-blackness, something you're really excited about, something you should be excited about, learning, developing your career, information maybe you can use there, help you get a raise or a promotion or whatever. Have someone classified as black. You don't need all that. You just wasting money. You don't need. Man, and she said, now when Ashley, these other white people come in and they want to do training, we don't go through all this penny pinching. Whoa, $6,000. Whoa. You can go for 3 days maybe. See if you can do it on Zoom. I don't know. We don't do all that. Ashley wants to go to training. Let's pay for it. Send Ashley to training. She just went to training, the black female herself. We don't have budget for man. To be, and that's another one with the mindset. We don't have brothers and sisters in the workplace. We do not. You do not think just because this person has a lot of melanin, they're going to have my back. They're going to have my best interest at heart. No. In fact, they might be just as vindictive. Never know. But you're not going to be expecting them to treat you correctly or, do anything in a correct manner in terms of their behavior towards you in the workplace. Very sad to hear, but it seems like, she at least was kind of expecting, kind of prepared, not too stunned about this. So make the most of the training. I still want to hear, exactly what I said. Dang, if it's all this to keep you from going, what in the world? What are they teaching there? How many black people were present? Let us know. Good luck at the training. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We have folks who have been impacted, the tariffs, the federal jobs cuts under Trump. If you've been impacted by all of that, let us know if all of that has been a source of conversation in your workplace. Like I said, hopefully we don't have non-white listeners who are jumping in and got to take my 5 minutes to share my thoughts, even if you work with other non-white people. But if that's something that's being discussed on your job, I would take a listen just to hear what are they saying, what are they upset about, or they, whatever, just kind of paying attention to how all of this is unfolding. But I would be mindful if it's discussed in your workplace. I would pay attention, maybe at most ask a question. No comment, no sharing your own view. That is not what you are paid for. At least no one I've heard from directly in our time with this segment. all of that said, in the workplace, and like I said before, in terms of the anxiety and confusion about all of this, I would be alert, especially if you work with the public. No conflict. If you see anything that seeming like some people are a little on edge, maybe they're concerned, am I going to have a job? Are we going to let go? Alert whom you need to tell, if it's security, supervisors, or there might even be a proactive call to enforcement officials, especially if it's somebody that you know has like a bad temper, as they say. But oh man, I would be alert. In fact, I would even want to know where are the emergency exits so that you can, vacate the area if need be. If there's a problem, get out of there quick. But I mean, it is volatile times. I would not want no confrontations on the job. Even, in fact, I would have all that in mind. The person who had told us a few weeks back about it was a black male. He had been terminated, and days after the termination, he would just sit in his vehicle in the company parking lot, and he was kind of saying, what would you do? What do you think would be the best way to move forward? And I was all about safety. I said, if this had been someone classified as white, reported it immediately. It would have been already out of report. Everybody I just mentioned, enforcement officers, security, human resources, everybody, your direct manager, all of them, told him immediately. If it's a black person, you think you have some sort of rapport or want to try to be helpful, great. Even then, distance, because you don't know what this person's mental state is. You don't know if they have a weapon. They apparently had a reputation as being volatile somewhat, even before all this. Not having your income that you depend on for housing and whatever else, that can make lots of people who would be normal, quote unquote, under regular circumstances, now they are not. So it would be all about distance and just, if anything, encouraging them. Maybe, we could have coffee, sit someplace public, go and sit down at a coffee shop and chat it out. And maybe if you think they'd be receptive to, all it takes is one white person to see you and recognize, like, oh, that's Leroy, we just fired him, and boom, get on the phone, and this could be really bad. So yeah, it would probably not be best to wait there and just be thinking about that like in advance, that there could be a lot of people who are having a challenging mental time because of things that happen in the workplace, how you want to deal with that while keeping yourself safe. And like I said, I keep emphasizing not having confrontations, even really like loud disputes. None of that. None of that. You have no idea, especially if it's just someone from the public. You don't know if they're armed or, what their intentions are. Man, de-escalation would be the word. De-escalation. Distance, that's another one, Any hoodles. Let's see. Number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We'll give folks 5 minutes. So if they have additional comments or see if they're spectating, we should be here on Friday, normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, for the Catherine Massey Book Club, chugging along through Abraham Bolden's The Echo from Dealey Plaza. Lots of workplace racism there. Even your white coworkers lie and set you up to be criminally prosecuted, and all the racist jokes in between. But more on that tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Super grateful we picked this moment. Excuse me, I almost killed myself. Super grateful we picked this moment to read Mr. Bolden's memoir. More to come tomorrow, same time. And then Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, compensatory call-in. We will catch up on what has transpired over the last 7 days or so. I guess I would say again, because it's so common, I had Austin Metcalf. That's what I was thinking about. And I mentioned that report before, but how you respond, prefacing again, I don't know what happened in Frisco, Texas. I have no idea. I'm over 1,000 miles away, Washington State. All of that said, some of the reports they've talked about, this kerfuffle, which resulted in a 17-year-old being deceased, white teen, black male teen, privileged, being in greater confinement and charged with killing this white lad, talking to your child and or even reviewing your own code, how to respond if you are called a nigger. That is super important. You should have this conversation with your child. If your black child is called a nigger, do you want your child to pull out their weapon, take down anyone who said that? Do you want your child to run? Do you want your child to engage in their own name calling? What do you think is the most constructive way for a black child, your child, to respond to being called a nigger? It is very, very likely to happen. Make sure this is something we've discussed so they already know this is what they're supposed to do. Maybe even see if you all can practice it, and then see if the codification, if it kicks in when that day comes. But for sure, that's, like I said, that's another one. I don't know that we need a textbook per se, just how do you want your child to respond? And then explain, this is, the way that I hope you respond. If this should happen, it probably will. I hope it doesn't. I hope it's way, way down the line and infrequent, but it's likely to be the case. This is what you should do. Get through this moment without this being your last day on earth or whatever, or you having to go to greater confinement. This is how we want to make sure you get through this moment as the best way possible in a system of white supremacy racism. Also very important, because if you either have to call enforcement officials or as a result of how you respond to all of this, enforcement officials are called, we are in a system of white supremacy racism. So, enough said. But yes, make sure you have this dialogue with your child. Maybe even show them this case from Frisco in terms of, hey, system of white supremacy racism is the reason we talk about this all the time. Old Neely Fuller Jr. and Dr. Welsing and all the rest of it. There is a reason. System of white supremacy racism. This is how I'd want you to respond if you were in an incident like that at school. Talk to your non-white offspring about that. Let's see. Folks are spectating, I reckon. Give them their last minute or so. They can invest. Hit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com. racism-notes.blogspot.com. Listener supported counter racist radio. PayPal button, top right corner. Tremendous thanks to all the investors, kept us on the air for 16 plus years. Hopefully accurate more often than not. Aid some non-white people. Aid some non-white people in what white supremacy racism is and how it works. Also, you can hit the wish list. It is linked on my blog from Amazon. It is Gus T. Renegade. Enormous gratitude one more time to all of the investors throughout the known universe and beyond who have nabbed an item or 10 from the wish list over all these years. Hopefully we have been worthy of your time and energy. 16 years of the cows. Let's see. Folks who dialed in, our caller at the courthouse in Florida should be with us as well. Do you have commentary to share, sir?
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I'd like to start out with, it was another observation I had about the break room. It was one of the bailiffs. He had it on the Fox News channel, and as soon as I came in, he picked up the remote and turned the channel to the local news station. I'm guessing that was because I had walked in, and I don't know, maybe he thought I was uncomfortable, I guess, or didn't think I would have the views that I guess that kind of channel or that Fox News would display, I guess. So he picked up the remote and changed the channel. My next one I like to share is notice that a lot of the files, like the records, they've been tossing them, like throwing them in the garbage. I'm not sure of why that is. I don't know if it's because they're making a new building or whatever. But I've observed that as well. And maybe it could also be because they're making them more digital, but even that could be a problem one day necessarily if the website or the electronics may stop working, and we may need those older physical files, I guess, to look up or to search for records. The next one I like to share is the admin, the white people in administration. I caught them in their little group huddle. I guess they were having some kind of conversation about something, I guess, for whites only, it seemed like. So they looked at me and were like, uh-oh. And I just said, hey, I just came to, let everybody know that I brought in the mail and everything for the morning. So so they just did like this nervous smile, and they said, okay, thank you. And I just walked out. And then another time, the attorney, the legal counsel lady, I was walking out of the admin area, and she saw me, and she grabbed onto the door. I'm like, so are you going to go in? And she was like, oh, you know what? I forgot what I was coming down here for. So I'm concluding that has something to do with me walking out of there, because that's the HR area and everything too. The next one I like to share is there was a black person that got hired at the criminal courthouse, and I think deception was practiced with the term that was used to get this person to apply for the position. I think it was data entry or something like that. Maybe I mentioned it before, but I don't recall them doing that with other times or other people that were white that got jobs. So she's doing the cashier, and she's being made to do some scanning and everything. And a white person, I'm hearing, was asked to come over to our building, well, to the building. I have no ownage of it, to the building where I work at. This white dude said he would not he would not come work over there. Well, and this funny enough called the civil courthouse. So apparently it's a lot of rumors going on with how the culture is. So it's interesting how he is offered 2 or 3 times to go work in the civil department, but a black person can't, or this particular black person can't seem to transfer out of the department where she's in. I wanted to make that comparison. And a victim just let me know that there's this white girl or white female, white woman or whatever, this morning was shouting out some kind of nonsense about, oh, welcome to the clerk's office, every time someone walks in or enters the office. The HR lady had brought her some kind of device or some kind of noise making device or something. Every time someone walks in, she's saying, "Woo, welcome to the courthouse, welcome to the clerk of court." And the victim was telling me how a lot of people were reacting like, what in the heck is going on? It's too early in the morning for this. So it was a whole bunch of trifling tackiness going on with that. And I think they were calling it, the white woman called this the pep squad, this other white female, the pep squad. I think that may be their lame response to the injustices going on and the unjust culture in the office. And I have 2 more quick ones I'd like to share with you. The the white judge that I've known for a while, I asked him about how, because they had it on the news, how a lot of these white students were arrested downtown after the Florida Gators won the championship. So downtown is all of these white folks, they're doing things like climbing up the street light poles, and they had to grease the street lights and everything, and they're just, I guess, going wild and just being unruly and vandalizing the area, after the championship and everything. So I asked the judge, I said, so you've been pretty busy, huh? He said he was doing a lot of the first appearance, and of course, I expected him to kind of sound like indifferent, because these are white guys, like white students. One guy fell off the top of the street light, and he was put into the emergency room and everything, and just doing a lot of just nonsensical things. But it didn't seem like they were going to be really punished very much. And another thing I seen were, sadly, were some young black males coming off of the elevator, juvenile delinquency, and they had them in handcuffs in these uniforms, taking them to the van. And one last thing I like to share is the coworker that I work with. She brought up a conversation, I think that was supposed to be about racism, talking to this white woman that she's sitting next to, or that we all sit next to, and she's saying that her son is 6'3" or whatever, and he's 14 years old, and she's at this game where he's playing flag football or whatever, and the white people there, because I know that's what she was referring to, was making it look like her child is not a teenager and he's too big, you need to take him out. And she was talking about how she was reacting to the white parents chanting to take him out, and she just sounded like she actually thought that this white chick was going to sympathize with her and how these white was treating her. you know. So yeah, she was basically saying how she was encountering. She didn't say she encountered racism, but that's how I perceived it. She said she was called a single parent, and the child's father was there. So that's how I concluded it. She was talking about white supremacy being practiced against her, and she thought this white woman was going to have a conversation with her about that. And I think she thought that I was going to give my view on it too, but I didn't. I just sat and continued doing the assigned work that I had to do today. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged to our caller in Florida. Let's see. The Fox News. It seems like we've got a few of these from the courthouse on Fox News being played. Like, I think even like years back, we didn't even have Neutralizing Workplace Racism as a program, and it was Fox News. The fella played the Fox News. He put the batteries in. He took the batteries out. That was it. I had the other. He took the batteries out and left it on Fox News and whatever. Like, he didn't have no sensibilities about, we don't want to hurt the poor nigger's feelings, and put it on Fox News and have him all set about it. That was like before. We got the other side. This time it was, oh no, you know what it will turn? We'll just watch local news. Now that's even odd because, like, whatever. If you're gonna leave it on, like, leave it on. Like, I wouldn't care what they were watching. If it was a Klan rally or anything, just note down. Okay, we keep it moving. The group huddle with the, I guess, gaggle of the seemed like powerful white people. Like, he didn't say they were cafeteria workers or whatever it was. Like, and looking and kind of seeing him and then whoa. I've seen that sort of thing before. I think we've had other folks who talked about powerful. I mean, hey, he's named. They've got the clique in the court or at the courthouse, and seemingly aware of his presence as they move about their, whatever it is all the rest of it, especially since he's asked questions about their activities and such, to at least be cognizant. I think he said the one white woman coming down to go in the area, what happened, she grabbed the door and she looked like she was gonna go in, and then she saw, he's going to, oh Lord, nope, and he has told us before, they have lots of white people who are there who, don't really, even white people who work at the courthouse and patrons, people that, are coming there to get paperwork or court records or whatever business they need, passport, whatever. But people that come, and they say, oh man, I didn't come to go to the segregated section. Like, y'all don't have no white people that work at the, or they walk around and, pick the long way around the courthouse, long route, and all this to avoid walking around where the black people are. That, same thing, said earlier, the black fella on the phone, where he said, hey, we found lots of ways, and folks that we don't really want to be around, no way. He said they came in, I guess, and took out the physical files because they got the digital. Now, I don't know. That's above my pay grade, I guess, in terms of the why. Maybe it was spacing thing, because I've seen that too sometimes, where so they don't want to keep all those files. But he said they're important because if the electricity goes out, you still have the physical to fall back on the records. Now, some people, but like I said, now maybe they say it's a spacing thing. Maybe say we got a backup generator, power's not going to go out. That's not going to happen. Maybe. But I know those physical records can be helpful at times, just for lots of reasons. But whatever, above my pay grade, as I said. He said that black person got hired. We'll have to see if they get that in the newsletter next time around or not. If he gets the whole welcome shebang and all the rest of it. We got the civil, or I guess so they have the two courts. They have the civil court, criminal court. If I heard it correctly, it was the white fella who he could have got a transfer from the criminal court to where our caller, he's at the civil court. He could have got a transfer over there. And hey, I'm not going over yonder. And be emphatic about it. Now, I know some jobs you cannot do all that. Like, you get I guess, well, let's say white people don't get fired, they get transferred. I guess some, no, you don't transfer me. That's when I'd be curious too. Like, what's the justification for why he doesn't want to go to the civil court? Like, is it unless I haven't been to this place? Obviously, it's part of Florida, but it seems like they're close. Like, it might be across the street or across the block type of a thing. Like, what's the big to do? Like, you're still serving the citizens of Florida. You still would be pretty close to all of your homies over there. Learn something new. Okay. Like, I would just be curious what so you just really like it over there? Maybe he really likes the fellas. Now, he said this white dude, he can get offered an opportunity to transfer from, I guess he's at criminal to civil. The black people that are at civil, they don't get those opportunities. Transfer across the street. I think this place is close, like across the street. Transfer across the street to the criminal courthouse. Even he said they got the young lady, black female, who's been there for like 20 years now. Can't get a promotion. They could have come and grabbed her and hey, you've been wasting your time, languishing, they call it, over here. They don't appreciate your talents or what have. Why don't you come across the street? We take all those skills and your ambitions, and maybe we get you a managerial position. Get you some classes or what have you. You can go to school or what have you, and you move right on up the ladder over at the criminal courthouse. Really, it might even be more the same thing. Cronyism, nepotism, racism. Put all the isms. That tacky line that they say, all the isms piled up. Anyway, but that is because I've seen that with some jobs where if you get offered like an upgrade, promotion, anything else, if you decline, like, oh man, sometimes they look at that like, oh man, what's wrong with you? You're not ambition. We got, openings and things, and you're rejecting them and all the rest of it. Like, wow, I don't know, maybe you don't need to be working here. Apparently that didn't happen. White fella at the criminal court. Any hoodles. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse in Florida. I didn't hear him say he had a white mentor either. They don't even want to come to the segregated section at the courthouse. So I can't imagine being too many white people that want to give out career advice or training or anything other. They mock you if you want to go out to have lunch with your spouse or anything in the workplace. I mean, mentor the niggers. Jesus Christ. Beat it. Get on out of here. Let's see. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss our emails. Okay, got that. Didn't miss any other emails. Did I miss anybody else? Any other callers? I was messing around with my mute button. Thank you, Shamika Harris. Great. Didn't miss anybody else. Wow. Much obliged for folks sharing. Folks are satisfied. We will be back mañana. I will emphasize again, folks who work like public sector, courthouse, or wherever else where you have like the general population that you might have to serve, come in contact with, white people in particular, probably everybody, but white people in particular, there's so much confusion and stress right now. So really, everybody takes their stress out on dark people. If you work in some sort of job, I know we talked about this with COVID, but like delivery, clerks and things, restaurant, food industry, anything like that, where you're dealing with the public, oh man, I would expect it. People to be hostile, aggressive, especially if they're under the influence. Be prepared. You might need to adjust your, code for how you handle with all of this, but especially younger people, tell them so that they're not, surprised. What is going on? This is what it is. If they're too young to remember from COVID-19, you can talk to them about what you remember from all of that. But you work in any sort of job like that where you have the public, and even it could even be other coworkers who are, feeling stressed and might be misbehaving or dealing with that stress in some peculiar ways. That's what it is, and you might need to alter things accordingly. But I'm a big fan. Certainly no hostilities in the workplace. We talked about this before. No responding. You bopped me and I'm about you to jump on the floor and call the police. And hopefully they got lots of cameras. So if somebody gets upset and calls you a name, they want to bop you upside the head or whatever, jump on the floor and call 911. That's what they'll have on camera, not you retaliating and all the rest of it. Like, oh man, he must have hit him like Mike Tyson because he shot about 50 feet across the room, landed on the floor, and then he got his phone and 911, boom, 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 there it is. Not even going back and forth verbally, not doing any of that either. You called me what? And you don't got to. And I think for a lot of that composure we talk about all the time is expecting all that in advance. Expecting, and from everybody, white people, non-white people, expecting all sorts of hostilities and bad behavior. That's what happens when you have lots of people anxious, stressed, gonna be able to pay our bill, we're gonna be fired. Ooh, and then, like I said, having that carry on for months, long stretches of time where people are still anxious about all of that. That's what happens. Get surly, sounding like Gus T. Any hoodles. No talking about the terrorist politics in the workplace, just like with election season and all the rest of it. Even if lots of people around you are talking about it, shh, listen, maybe ask questions, but listen, you are not chatting. We will be here Friday, Catherine Massey Book Club, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Court scene. Love it. Well, can't say I love it because it's the usual black person being falsely accused, so there's nothing to love about that. But a good court drama, who doesn't love it? Shawshank Redemption, that's, tons of movies. We got to go. A Time to Kill, see if get old Samuel L. Jackson off for killing old race soldier rapists. Trial scene coming up in tomorrow's edition or section of The Echo from Dealey Plaza, Abraham Bolden, Catherine Massey Book Club. Much obliged, folks tuning in, hopefully worthy of their Thursday evening. Sobriety would be best, especially in the workplace. No after hours for a shot and all the rest of it. We need high-functioning brain computers to solve our problems. Creator, remind us, invest our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Help me stop wasting non-white people's time and energy, including my own. Minimize contact, minimize conflict, stop name-calling black people, stop being discourteous to black people, stop gossiping, stop producing throwaway offspring. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. A victim.
I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my condition.
Mm-hmm.
Even my conditioning has been conditioned.